Nevada's first choice for news. This is 8 News Now at 6.
Tensions have subsided and the crowds of self-appointed militia around rancher Cliven Bundy have largely dispersed, but the situation is far from resolved. Thanks for joining us. Federal officials are now exploring their legal options, and Metro Police confirm that an investigation is open.
What has not been made public is just how close things out at the Bundy Ranch came to an all-out gun battle. Some of those who were on the front line spoke exclusively to the I-Team's George Knapp.
This really was a close call, and things could have gone wrong 100 different ways. When the BLM mobilized to go after Cliven Bundy's cattle 2 years ago, they did so under an administrative order. This time, it was considered a criminal matter, and we've learned that order went all the way to the White House for approval. When it became apparent that things were not going well in Bunkerville and hundreds of armed Bundy supporters were on the scene, Metro found itself right in the middle, a very dangerous place to be.
We didn't show any fear that day. I can tell you, in the back of all of our minds, we thought that was going to be the last day on earth. If it went bad. If it went bad.
I hear Ford on the radio.
Metro Sergeant Tom Jenkins is more familiar with the craziness of the Las Vegas Strip, which is where he and his squad usually work to keep the peace.
Bring the property back!
But when things began to turn ugly in Bunkerville earlier this month, 2 squads of patrol officers, along with a SWAT unit, were dispatched to the scene.
And we were told, hey, we're going to go down there and we're going to, get in between BLM and the protesters. And you're going, okay, we've been there before. We deal with protests on the Strip and all of that. But as we were driving up, it was like a movie set. It didn't look real at all at first, and it was hard to, to perceive that, hey, there's people in the back of pickup trucks with rifles and shotguns, and many weapons were out there at the time. So it was hard to grasp that at the beginning.
Approximately 30 Metro officers stood between a crowd of 400 heavily armed, self-described militia and the federal employees who'd gathered a few hundred head of Cliven Bundy's cattle. As the crowd swelled and tempers flared, many in the crowd tried to goad the police, hurling taunts and insults.
Coward! Coward!
We had no respect for them and their authority out there, and just the profanity.
What kind of stuff? Profanities?
Just everything. Anything you could think of, you could call a human being, animals, everything, and you're going, ow.
Shut your mouth, you piece of
Have anybody say to you the effect of, are you ready to die today, officer?
Yes, I did. I don't know his name. I know he was wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey. I'll never forget that.
I need everybody calm heads, okay? Calm heads, all right?
Shuttling back and forth between the Bundy forces and BLM was Assistant Sheriff Joe Lombardo, who'd been left in charge by Sheriff Doug Gillespie.
The bottom line is bloodshed over cattle, unacceptable. Nobody wanted to go that direction. We're not here to arrest anybody.
But the police were to learn some in the crowd did want to go in that direction. Even Lombardo was on the receiving end.
It was a scary point in itself. They were in my face, screaming profanities and pointing weapons. The Bundy son himself that I was negotiating with, Dave, he did not do that, but all the associated people around him did do that.
Metro officers deal with large crowds all the time, but nothing like this. The crowd included former military men and ex-cops, people with various motives, their fingers poised just above the triggers of powerful weapons. With so much firepower in so many hands, any small incident could have set off a bloodbath.
BLM, go home!
We were outgunned, outmanned, and there wouldn't have been a good result from it.
There are a lot of scenarios that could have played out that would have a lot of dead officers.
Yes, you're correct.
If you just have a backfire, somebody pops a firecracker, then it's over. We're done, and we're going to lose that battle that day.
Worst case scenario, you've played it out in your head.
Yes, no doubt.
It has a lot of dead cops in it.
At least 21, because where we were standing and where we were at the time.
Metro pointedly did not allow officers to put on helmets or protective gear for fear it might be seen as a provocation. At the urging of Cliven Bundy, the crowd moved toward the BLM compound. Rhetoric grew more heated, and guns were pointed at officers.
Had to happen sometime, might as well happen now, right?
Some of them, there's no doubt, just from talking to me, wanted to get a chance that day to fire upon police officer or authority in period. I don't think it mattered if it was BLM or if it was us.
Nevada State property.
Okay,
And
Eamon,
it is
there's a time for
you.
these.
No,
There's a time
the
for those
time is
discussions.
now.
We're doing.
As the crowd closed in on the BLM and tensions approached critical mass, Joe Lombardo made the call to release the cattle and defuse the situation.
Because sometimes it's hard in public safety to turn your back and back down. You know, we're not trained to operate that way, but they took the better route, and it was the right way to go. Well, it's all about lives. I mean, what's the better route to go? To be right or to be effective?
If one tiny mistake had been made, we'd still be having funerals for slain police officers, law enforcement officials told us. Dozens of people could have been killed if shooting had broken out. When someone points a gun at a police officer here in town, we know how that situation is likely to end. Out there, it was a different matter. But it's not over. The I-Team has learned that those who were involved in threatening the lives of officers are not off the hook, even if it takes a year or more to resolve. We'll have that part of the story tonight at 11 o'clock.
Well, fascinating look at the inside that day. Yeah, thanks.